doubt there is tea today. I think we've all been expecting there to be an announcement regarding who was going to be taking over the role of overseeing DC films, TV, etc. This one caught me off. I was not expecting this. Not gonna lie. Well, half of it anyway. James Gunn and Peter Safran named co-chairman and CEOs of DC Studios. DC Studios, that's new. They're gonna have their own. That's how it should be, in my opinion. But obviously, I think we all know the James Gunn portion of this is where I'm a little surprised. And if you're on Twitter, you already know this is already turning into a frenzy of discussion. So let's go through some of these highlights of this article from Deadline. So industry veterans James Gunn and Peter Safran have been appointed to the new roles of co-chairman and chief executive officers of DC Studios, overseeing the overall creative direction of the DC universe across film, TV, and animation under a single banner. The appointments will be effective on November 1st. They will also report directly to David Zaslav. Okay. In their new roles, Gunn and Safran will spearhead the development and execution of a long-term plan for the many properties licensed from DC Comics. When the merger took place, they kind of came out and gave an overview of like this, 10-year plan that they have in mind. In addition to their executive responsibilities, Gunn and Safran will develop, direct, and produce projects. So they're still going to be, because Safran has an extensive history of producing a lot of successful films and franchises, the Conjuring franchise. He also did Shazam and the new Shazam movie that's coming out, Aquaman, and the second Aquaman movie that's coming out. So he has a pretty long history with Warner Brothers, and he did the Annabelle films producing. So he has a pretty extensive list of well-known films under his belt, including in the DC area as well. So that's what this highlight is talking about. Both Gunn and Safran have extensive experience with the superhero genre, having brought some of the MCU and DC universe's most popular characters to life, including Guardians of the Galaxy, obviously James Gunn, Aquaman, Shazam, the Suicide Squad, and Peacemaker. I don't know if I would group the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker in with those, but they're just listing some of their experience with the comic book movie genre, superhero movie genre, which we all know, the Guardians of the Galaxy films were very successful for Marvel. The third one that's coming out is the last one for those films. And obviously now he's going to be committed to DC, which I really did not see that coming. Zaslav commented, DC has among the most entertaining, powerful, and iconic characters in the world. I'm thrilled to have the singular and complementary talents of James and Peter joining our world-class team and overseeing the creative direction. So, I know, and myself included, I did not see this coming as far as James Gunn being put in a position of leadership at DC. However, personally, I'm not a big fan of him as a director, filmmaker. I'm not a huge fan of his style. Like Guardians of the Galaxy, I don't mind watching them, but they're not on my list of favorite Marvel movies. I don't love them. The Suicide Squad, don't like. It's not really, I liked Bloodsport, but his comedy is not really I don't really vibe with a lot of his comedic choices. He's a little bit more, vulgar and raunchy when it comes to that stuff. But, in the DC, the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, he is. Obviously, Marvel doesn't really, have that kind of rated R stuff in their catalog. But so I'm not a big fan of that. And obviously, on a personal level, he's made some questionable and uncomfortable, decisions, things that make people uncomfortable and little, not the best. But there's a silver lining to this, and that is he is a Zack Snyder fan and also has a friendship with Zack Snyder. and they both have supported, they've worked together, they support each other's work. That is a silver lining to this. And at least we don't have people in place that have this just utter disdain for Zack Snyder and his work. Not saying that that means Zack Snyder is going to come back, because we don't know that. Obviously, right now he has commitments to Netflix, but that's not going to be forever, you know. But again, at least there is people in place that don't have an utter hatred and disdain for Zack Snyder, his fans, and what he has brought to DC, um, you know, in the past. So that, in my eyes, is a positive thing. And I do kind of see him as the kind of person that would allow a lot of creative freedom for other directors and filmmakers, because he has enjoyed a lot of creative freedom on his own films. So I see him being that kind of person. Also, I think worth noting is some of the things mentioned in the statement from James Gunn and Peter Safran. They said, "We're honored to be the stewards of these DC characters we've loved since we were children." Gunn and Safran said in a statement, "We look forward to collaborating with the most talented writers, directors, and actors in the world to create an integrated, multi-layered universe that still allows for the individual expression of the artists involved. Our commitment to Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Harley Quinn, and the rest of the DC stable of characters is only equaled by our commitment to the wonder of human possibility these characters represent. We're excited to invigorate the theatrical experience around the world as we tell some of the biggest, most beautiful, and grandest stories ever told." No surprise, hashtag bring back Zack Snyder is trending. Like I said, I think having James Gunn in this position could be a benefit to Zack Snyder fans. That doesn't mean that he's necessarily going to be able to come back, Zack Snyder. I think maybe eventually he could. It will be possible. You know, he's not only going to ever work for Netflix again. So, but even if he's not able to come back and direct anytime soon, the fact that James Gunn appreciates Zack Snyder's work could benefit, you know, the what Zack has started with at DC, you know, Man of Steel, BVS, kind of using elements of the Snyderverse and, you know, things of that nature. So, and like I was saying, I do think that he would be the kind of person in this statement, like it says, to allow a lot of creative freedom for the people that they bring on to work on all of these films, and it includes TV, animation. I do think, like, a lot of people are saying, like, oh, it's going to be a lot of this, you know, his type of raunchy and, you know, over the top comedy and kind of sexualizing characters. And, you know, I don't think that he's going to force his personal style onto other directors and writers and people that come on to work. But that wouldn't be, like, that's not the point of putting him in this type of leadership position. And he and Peter Safran are going to have to work together and be on the same page when it comes to who they put in place to make these movies and what kind of stories they choose to go with. So I don't think he's just going to be like, all of the movies are going to end up being like my movies. I don't really see it going in that direction, because I don't think if they would have gotten that kind, okay, I don't know what happened. If they would have gotten that perception, you know, Pam Abdi, Michael DeLuca, who they are going to work closely with, David Zaslav, if they were under the impression that he was just going to make, I'm just going to have all of the movies, you know, be like the kind of movies I make, I don't think that'd be appealing, as far, you know, to put him in a leadership role to oversee their so much under DC, you know, TV, animation. So I don't think that that's really what's going to happen. And since they do have like different kinds of background that they bring, Peter Safran has a lot of, you know, horror movie background and also like working with DC. So I think they kind of bring different perspectives, which is important. And like I said, it's good not to just have one person calling all of the shots, like kind of how it was before with Toby Emmerich. Kind of also Walter Hamada, I guess you could say that they were a duo, but they weren't anything. You know, there was Toby Emmerich and then Walter Hamada was just in charge of the films. So again, let's keep in mind These are not people that have a hatred and disdain for Snyder, his fans, his work. And I think that that's a positive thing. And I do appreciate the statement about working with all of these creatives and being open minded to what they want to bring to the table. These directors, people that they were going to put in place, and focusing on these Justice League, the core Justice League members, and branching out from there. So I think those are positive things to take from this if you're kind of shocked by the decision that they put James Gunn in this position. That's what I think. I was just as shocked, I think, as probably anyone finding this out. But I do think there are some positive things to take from it. And I don't think they're just going to turn everything into Marvel just because James Gunn, had a trilogy at Marvel, because I don't think that's really what they want to do either. So there are positive things to be said about this. And, time is going to tell. I don't think anything's going to take away from the excitement of Henry Cavill breaking the internet yesterday with his announcement and the fact that he's back as Superman. Nothing's going to change that excitement and, for me personally. So those are my thoughts on it. Thank you guys for watching. Check out the links in the description, any videos you might have missed recently. I know this is a big thing, I understand, for fans, and it's kind of a little worrisome in some ways, but again, I do think there are some positives to take away from it, and just give it some time and we'll see where things go. But thank you guys for watching. Check out the links in the description. And yeah, we will see you soon.